then I'm also gonna just put 2 rotary auction and 3 access management. Does anybody else have anything? Okay, well then the agenda will stand as amended. First up, Sheriff's Report, we have nothing. Is there anybody in the audience that has anything for the Sheriff's Office? Okay, close out the Sheriff's Report. Take us through unfinished business, and I'm going to turn that over to our Administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is the Ohio Division of Liquor Control Quickies Drive-Thru, and I'm going to turn that over to our Law Director.
Yeah, I think this one was held over. This is simply one I have worked with Lieutenant Springer on, and we don't see any need to formally object at this time.
Okay. That being said, go ahead and move it on. Number 2.
All right, number 2 is to amend a motion by the Plain Township Trustees to amend Resolution 16-042 on false alarms to reflect the following correction, to be alarm numbers 5 and 6. It had said 4 and 5.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And that ends unfinished business.
And we will roll right into new business with Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to pay for the printing of the spring newsletter not to exceed $4,000 from Fund 01A26K.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion, this is going to hit well in advance.
It's going to hit well in advance,
Yeah.
and that's not the cost. We always open it for more. So,
But again, we are dealing with a bigger circulation now since we
Now
can more
you're
clearly
dealing-
define.
yep,
the
you're
actual-
dealing, now the entire township should be reading, or should be getting it.
I actually get the newsletter.
Lifelong resident until next time it'll be fine. I will so move, that was discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2 is to pay for a resolution to pay for the postage of the spring newsletter not to exceed $3,000 from Fund 01A26J.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item number 3 is in regards to the Stark County Health Department District Advisory Council meeting, which is on Thursday, March 3rd, 2016 at 7 p.m. This is in accordance with Section 3709.03 of the revised code, and the meeting is required by law, and we do need a representative of the Plain Township Board of Trustees to attend. It's at 7 p.m. at the Stark County Health Department on the 3rd floor, which is where they're located at 3951 Convenience Circle. Last year, Mr. Giovasis attended.
Right now I should, so I'll check also. I'll plan on attending.
Okay. And then there's so many events going on, I'll email you a reminder on that one. And if any of the other trustees want to attend, you're certainly welcome. We just at least have to send one person. And then item number 2 is a reminder of the Stark County Township Association dinner meeting on Thursday, February 18th. This one is held at the Stark County Regional Cleaning Commission, and the topic is RPC programs and grant opportunities. And then number 4 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize trustees, department heads. We need to add fiscal officer, administrative assistant, and administrative secretary to attend the March 7th, 2016 annual Plain Township Historical Society dinner at Skyland Pines, and to authorize payment from Fund 01A26E.
So moved.
I think for the record, you said 4, it's 5.
Oh, 5. Excuse me.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Roll call.
Just real quickly, so just adding fiscal officer, was there another addition?
No, I just see unless anybody sees anything else.
Roll call then would be Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
And just so you see, that is March 7, 2016 at 6:30 at Skyland Pines. And then to add another meeting to everything, the Stark County Engineers Annual Meeting for Township Trustees and Fiscal Officers is going to be different this year. It's in conjunction with the Stark County Township Association monthly meeting. So that's Thursday evening, March 17th at 5 p.m. And this is at the Myers Lake Ballroom. So please mark your calendars so that we at least have one representative. Of course, many more are invited to attend.
Actually, I will be out of town, so I won't be able to.
Yeah, it's, we really should have a representative. They go over the projects and what's coming for the next year. Okay, and that's the end of new business.
Thank you. That's going to take us to our fiscal officer's report, Mr. Flex.
Thank you, Mr. President. First item on the agenda is a request for a resolution to authorize the payment of the pending warrants.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Second item is a request for a resolution to authorize the payment of regular payroll.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 3 is a request for a resolution by the board to authorize the payment of the following medical claims.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 4 is the financial report.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Fox on that? Okay.
And then number 5 is a request for a resolution by the board to authorize the following transfer.
I will move on fiscal officer 5.
Second. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Concludes the fiscal officer's report for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. That will take us to the administrator, Mrs. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is you have the flyer before you, but wanted to make an announcement about the event, Talk with the Trustees and Coffee with the Sheriff. It's an open house style event on Saturday, April 9th, at the Plain Township Administrative Offices. It'll be held here from 9 to 11. And the trustees, the sheriff, Lieutenant Springer, Detective Koenig will be here because we know that not everybody can make a Tuesday night meeting. The board wanted to offer something on a Saturday morning if anybody had concerns, questions about police services, had any concerns in their neighborhood, wanted to talk about police services. The board has set aside that time to do so. So again, that's Saturday, April 9th, from 9 to 11 here.
As part of that, I mean, I know Lieutenant Springer and the Sheriff's Office have done a good job doing a lot of analysis and putting metrics and comparison. Is that something we can have up as part of, presentation, just to roll through?
We talked about creating some posters with comparisons and just what you've talked about. So once we put together what we'd like to put out there, we'll share that with you to see what you think, and we'll have all of that available. We've done some public records requests of some neighboring entities to have that available. And then item number 2 is just my certificate to put on record that I've completed the Sunshine Law trainings regarding the Sunshine Law training regarding the Open Public Records Act and Ohio Open Meetings Act, and putting that on record because I am the Plain Township Board of Trustees designee. The way I did it this time is instead of going somewhere in Ohio, leaving a full day of work, needing to be reimbursed for mileage, the Ohio Attorney General's office has a really slick online course that you can take in modules. So during the day when I had free time, I would take a module, take a mini test. If I could get a couple done in a day, I would. What was nice about this is that there weren't distractions, there weren't people getting up and down, and it was probably one of the best public records classes because I imagine they put their brightest and best on that online class. So I am going to recommend that both of my administrative assistant and secretary take it, and the department heads, because really you can take your time and get through it, and it's extremely informative. So really the way for us to do it from this point forward instead of traveling somewhere. And that's the end of the administrator's report.
Thank you. It's going to take us to the fire department. Chief Snyder.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1 is the monthly report for January.
It's an interesting stat on call volume per shift.
Per shift?
Yeah, really close on 2 shifts.
Is this a new way to, is this a new
That started
report?
last
I've been working with
Oh, I wasn't here though.
Captain Haynes regarding, so getting some other detailed reports.
Yeah.
Chief,
One of the questions that Zal and I are taking a look at the report, I think it's page 39, under the mutual aid summary.
Okay.
It says mutual aid received, automatic aid received, and it has mutual aid given, automatic aid given. But then, which I get that, but then it automatically goes down to next, mutual aid given. Is that just a drill down of essentially the information
Above.
up above?
It's half, it's just what we delivered as far as what we gave.
That's usually given. Sorry about that.
That would be a total of 20, because that includes both
Yeah.
mutual aid
So
and
we basically
automatic.
split, we received 20 and we gave 20.
It's 20, so you can down here, so it's about 6. It's 20, so that figure reconciles against those bottom two.
Okay.
Right there.
And I'm continuing to work with Captain Haynes
Yeah,
regarding,
this one is a little more.
clean this up a little bit too, so.
This one here is a little more confusing for me, so I don't know, the way we had it before was a lot easier.
The last sheet is a spreadsheet that we had in the past, so it actually breaks it down pretty mutually given and received, so you can see that a little bit better
I
that way.
understand it now, but this here can throw you off a bit. Yeah.
Do you guys have, either of you have any more questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me see.
And item number 2,
This is easier, yes. Thank you.
item number 2 is to authorize the resolution to authorize the purchase and payment for safety cabinets from Granger in an amount not to exceed $7,200. Again, that's for all 3 departments, based on compliance with some of the things we've been working on, so.
With BWC.
With BWC and Lisa, so. Those are actually discounted about 30% discount on that pricing.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Salem?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes?
That's all, thank you.
Thank you. That's going to take us to our road department, Mr. Iacino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is the monthly report for January.
As compared to last month where we projected about 50,000 in savings as compared to year prior. Is that anything 75 to 90, or, I mean,
Ask that question.
I'm good. I didn't put numbers to it because I'm afraid I'm gonna jinx us.
Yeah, don't remember, when I bring it up, it's always a drop. When I bring it up, it's a drop, so.
You can
I'm
thank
guessing we're
Leo.
probably at
Yeah.
least 75.
Because the other issue is that four-letter word, fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't really, I figure we'll get through this.
But we're still,
See, we get through February.
Said it ain't over yet.
Right, so, but Scott did his dance every year and it worked, so.
I scares them off, that's it. Okay.
Item number 2 is the resolution to authorize the purchase of signs and miscellaneous sign items from Osborne and Associates for $3,509.15.
I'll send you on road 2.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees for the sale of scrap metal.
I will so move.
I'll second it. What
Discussion.
It's old metal and stuff from, mostly the mechanics that we take down periodically to Slesniks and get reimbursed for it. We're only allowed $2,500 at a time, so we have to do it 2 or 3 times throughout.
Do we have that much?
Oh, once, yeah, when we're doing like the culverts and replacing culverts and stuff like that, we get a lot of it.
Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Item number 4 is a resolution to purchase tires and supplies from Goodyear Commercial Tire not to exceed $4,326.90.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Item number 5 is a resolution to authorize the purchase of portable radios with battery packs from Donor Communications not to exceed $4,150. As you can see, that's for 3 departments. We're going to add some radios, and a couple went bad tonight. They're 4 years old, so we're going to also buy some extra batteries. So they have already outlasted what they normally last, according to Chief Snyder here and Donor Communications.
Okay.
If we move on.
I'll move on road
All
5.
right, I'll second it.
Discussion.
Help me out here. What do we need? These are
These are the
handheld.
handheld radios.
And what do we have now? What do we got? Ours are old, or what do we have?
We had purchased a large amount back in 2012 because we did away with a lot of the radios that were permanently in the trucks, pickup trucks.
Right.
So the guys always had the radios on them in the road department. The big dump trucks still have the mobile radio, but these are handheld, so they could always have them with them. Rob started using these in his department over the last couple of years, especially when they have big events, so everybody can get a hold of everybody. He said he was a couple radios short. Tom asked if he can get one to keep in contact with everybody in case of emergency situation.
So these will be used on events that Rob will have, or these going to be used for?
Mine are used every day. Mine are always used. The guys use them every day. But Rob's guys are start
Mine,
using
according
them.
to BWC, we have to have 1 per crew out, no less than 2 out. So in the event of safety, weather, God forbid, somebody gets hurt, et cetera, they can radio me, or I can radio them to get in because of a tornado, et cetera. We're not required to do those things.
Are these on road?
Road guys are using it for parks? I'm confused.
No, they're all on the same radio wave.
That's my
Okay.
question.
But we're using them in our department every day. They use them for everything. And then Rob's adding on to his work.
So basically, everybody's listening to everything.
And right,
Okay,
also
that all makes sense.
Chief can listen to us all too. So if we ever have that big emergency, we're all on the same radio.
And it's good because if there's a big emergency and somehow cell phone towers are out, this is the only way we're gonna be able to communicate.
We've always had radios.
Right.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Thank you.
That concludes roads. It's going to take us to zoning. I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Farrar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1 is the monthly report.
Anybody have any questions? Okay.
Item number 2, sir, is an invitation from Stark County Regional Planning Commission for their 2016 annual dinner, which will be Wednesday, March 16th at Skyline Pines. The resolution is to authorize fiscal officer, law director, members of the Board of Trustees, members of Plain Township Board of Zoning Appeals, and members of Plain Township Zoning Commission, the administrator, the zoning department, they're invited to come to the meeting. And this resolution is to authorize payment for same.
I would so move.
I'll second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
That concludes zoning. That'll take us to parks, and I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Steinberg.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 1 is my monthly report.
Have we, on the temporary closing of the dog park for obvious reasons, have we received any feedback from that at all?
There has been minimal. I
Okay,
think we've been, in the last 2 weeks, we've been a total of 2. I'm sending a press release out tomorrow. Ground's freezing, it's going to be frozen for a while. We plan on having that park open tomorrow afternoon till we see need to close it again, obviously.
So signage is probably.
Signage is out there, it's
Okay,
helped.
good,
Yeah.
good.
I did get one, since you asked, this is actually really cool. I got a email sent to me from a dog with his picture next to the closing signs saying, please open the park soon. It was very cute, it was sweet. The resident meant good nature and it was well received.
Good.
Go ahead. Item number 2 is a resolution to list the bids for the Veterans Memorial Monument Project. Bids were received from Summit Memorials and Longstreth and are attached to and made a part of these minutes.
I will so move on parks number 2.
Second.
For discussion, obviously when you look at the bottom line, because we asked for the exact same type of materials, processes, et cetera, I think you can see, and I would certainly recommend, with the board's permission, Summit Memorials Inc., as when you look at the same materials, same costs, et cetera, and you see the vast difference. Lois is indeed also best here as well.
Further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
That's good. That was a good one. Yeah. That's all we hear about.
Next.
Item number 3 is a motion and a resolution where, sorry, Anthony, I read the wrong one. It's a resolution whereas the Plain Township Board of Trustees has advertised for bids for the Veterans Memorial Monument. Be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to award the Veterans Memorial Project to Summit Memorial Inc. at the cost of $70,984 and to authorize payment not to exceed that amount from Fund 01B05E.
I'll move on Parks 3.
Second discussion. Any idea why we only ended up getting two quotes back? Did anybody come in
We had a lot of,
after, or was there?
We had a lot of initial interest. We had a pre-bid meeting in which several different companies showed. I think once they got their questions answered, I know one in particular said that it just wasn't a fitting project for them. Another one couldn't meet some of the requirements, so they backed out. I don't know what happened to the third, and then the 2 others did indeed bid.
And we had some tough specs in there that we want to be on site And the board can be there too when the granite is unloaded and it needs to be visually inspected and we have to sign, somebody has to sign off for it. And the specific color granite that we asked for, I think some of that,
In the in-house production.
yeah, in the in-house production. I think sometimes people have this sent out, done, and then
No,
and then, yeah, and then we have no ability to go at any time and see our piece being built. So,
Lisa pointed out to me that this lowest bid that we have, the representative did the one on Clinton.
Mhm,
Clinton.
yeah.
So-
You'll have Veterans Memorial.
So I
Yeah, it's a
was at
national
that, I
icon.
was there for that, because we had
We have a bench
we have a
there.
bench there, so I
Yes,
went
sir.
to that presentation. So if anyone, if any of our residents, and being with us on record, that they did, it was an outstanding park, and being that this person's our representative, I'm sure it's gonna be pretty darn nice, because
They have an
they did a nice
extensive
job there with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really do specialize in things like this, and they've proven to be the best bidder, and I'm sure, given their line of work, will be in great shape.
Okay. No further discussion, roll call?
Mr. Lino?
Yes,
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 4 is a resolution to be hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, has awarded the Veterans Memorial Project to Summit Memorial, Inc., whereas the contract has been prepared according to the terms and conditions of the bid specifications for the Veterans Memorial Project. Now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the execution of the contract with Summit Memorial, Inc., the Veterans Memorial Project, the language of which contract is incorporated by references as if fully rewritten herein, and be it further resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize payments to Summit Memorial, Inc. upon satisfactory performance of terms in this contract. Total estimated bid, as we said before, is $70,984 from Fund 01B.
I will so move.
second.
Discussion? I'm just glad to see this thing get to this point. So whether it was Mr. Sabo's predecessor, Mr. Geovasis, along with Mr. Lino, getting behind this vision that is, seeing how the community got behind us on our Salute to Veterans event, this is going to be a monster impact for the community based on the significance and the importance of it, so.
And Rob, the pre-bidding meeting scheduled, right?
The pre-construction meeting is scheduled. We will notify, which I believe the gentleman is here in the audience, of the February 16th, 11 a.m. meeting, that he is indeed the recipient. I will also notify the other bidder that the bid was had and lowest and best one out.
The pre-construction meeting is when
11 a.m. on the 16th.
and they'll get the contract and the notice to proceed and just go over some questions that we may have.
Do you see either one of us being there for this?
Absolutely.
Are you gonna be there?
Yes, I think it's important to have board representation when we settle any of the type of.
Yeah, because I think that there should be a trustee.
I'd happily have all of you here and we'll do a public meeting of it in the hall. I have no problem with that.
No, because Chief, we did something very similar when we were doing our fire station. And it was very, very useful and very hands-on. We all were together as a group from the, I thought it was very,
16th would be Tuesday. Sorry, I was just answering a question.
so.
Well, if there's a determination that more than one's going to be here, we need to make sure we
Yeah,
have that 24 hours.
Yeah, just let me
notice.
know and I'll send out a press release.
Yeah.
Who would ask?
Sure. Ken, would you like to stand up and introduce yourself since you are the award recipient of the bid?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to build the memorial for your township. February 16th?
Yes, sir,
At
11
what
a.m.
time?
11 a.m.
11 a.m. What's your time frame on this?
The pre-construction?
No, the unveiling of it.
Well, ultimately, I can tell you from our aspect, I mean, in some of the guidance and conversations that were had along the way, we were told from the time the order was placed, it could potentially be 6 to 8 months by the time the materials
Well,
are procured,
yeah.
it's shipped,
Right.
arrives, it's inspected, it's designed, and set. Ultimately, you know,
The contract does say 7 hours or 213 days, whichever is sooner.
yeah. I mean,
The board would rather have it done right than rushed.
Right, you know, I
And
mean,
this would be something you're gonna discuss at this pre-construction
Right,
meeting. Those will
okay.
all be, you know.
Yes, sir.
right.
Yes, sir.
Can you also tell the board what you added a little bit extra into the bid?
Yes,
I thought was
also,
phenomenal.
also there's going to be, we're offering 2 benches, granite benches, like at the Veterans Memorial Park, and 2 upright monuments that, all, is it 2?
You got, let's see,
2 all polished
I did.
we'll do
monuments.
4 granite benches
Yeah,
along
4
with 2
benches.
all polished jet black monuments.
Right.
And essentially, that'll include lettering, which we need to constructively
Wow.
reflect on what
Correct.
we want on there. I know there's been some.
Very
ideas
similar to what
already.
we see at Clinton, sir.
What's that?
Very similar to what we see.
Yeah, you can do, they're the park benches, with the backs on them. They're nice to use because people they can't take their skateboards on them or anything. They got it, they're more like they're solid black granite benches, just like the memorial will
Just like
be.
there.
And then whatever you want to have written on them, and that's part of it as well. And then 2 upright monuments as well.
Nice,
So,
nice, very
that's part
nice,
of it.
very nice.
And they can be placed anywhere throughout the memorial.
Nice.
Thank you.
Very, thank
All
you.
right, it's going to be a beautiful memorial.
Yes,
The town will be really proud of it, it's going to be nice.
yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You did roll call on that one. Right, okay, so roll call,
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
yes.
Gentlemen, the last item tonight is just an update on our training. I know we spoke individually. I just want to put on record, again, February 16th and 18th, we'll be doing weed control seminars. Jeff and Jay will be in Brecksville. Jeff, Jay, Ryan, Sean, and I will be in Worcester. On the 18th, 23rd is our drug-free workplace training. Sean may or may not make it because he has a possible seminar to go to, so he will attend the Wednesday evening training. And he's aware of the March 29th department head and supervisor training, so we will certainly get him caught up. I think Lisa mentioned for the BWC, I know that Joe, Chief, Lisa, and Tom and I have worked as a team to getting these settled. We have the train-the-trainer forklift training on February 25th. On March 3rd, we have the HASCOM train-the-trainer training. On March 7th, we have the mower vehicle train-the-trainer training. And I know we're scrambling to put a lot in here, but March 23rd, we have tree trimming to the BWC in North Canton, and Sean and I will be attending a Columbus turf training seminar that day. And on March 29th, as I mentioned, that would be the department head that certainly Sean and I will be attending. So a lot of training, but we're trying to get it in before this weather breaks for good because we don't want to be behind. And if there's no questions, that concludes Parks.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. The law director, we haven't heard from him
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I've got,
in his radio announcer voice.
yeah,
That's right.
I'll do it.
Show up.
We have heard back from the Ohio Attorney General. We sent in a request along with Jackson and along with Perry Township through Mike Vaccaro and Charlie Hall, their law directors, for some clarification with regard to the health district and its funding. Is this ringing a bell? They had looked like it was taking it from funds that would go below where they should be and those kinds of things. So we looked for some guidance from the Ohio Attorney General, and they've sent us this 12-page opinion. So it's formal and it's all those good things. I give it to you pretty much for informational purposes at this point, because what I really want to do, I've gone through it several times, and I'm going to sit down with the other law directors and make sure we're all viewing it the same way before I give you guys a formal kind of opinion on what, it means and means for us. It looks like on its face, it's interesting because it almost looks like it goes both ways. It almost says you can't take it out of the fund, you should have a special levy, but at the same time, it says that they can. So it's a little bit confusing in terms of how it's been presented to us here. So digest it as best you can, let's talk about it next meeting, if that's okay with you. By that time, I know Charlie and I have made a couple of phone calls to each other to try to say, what in the heck is he trying to tell us? So by next meeting, we'll be able to sit down and go over it.
Okay, nothing else for the law director? Communications, Mrs. Campbell.
Okay, I do have one communications from a township resident. It was actually the false alarms amendment. And she does agree that the false alarms are a nuisance, it distracts the sheriff's office and fire department from more serious issues. She did pay the $50 for the fourth false alarm. She had a technician come out and track the reason for the false alarms, because we always call folks when they are getting lots of false alarms. He changed the battery in the zone that showed motion, and then after she received the bill, the alarm went off again. She thought it was her dog. But when it happened again, which would have been that fifth time, she called the alarm company and learned that the battery in another zone needed changing. She's complained to the alarm company because she had reached out to them. They made one fix. She tried to replace it herself, asked a friend to, but was unable to. So they sent another technician to replace the monitor because in her attempts to fix it, she broke it. She agrees to Plain Township, but she has a limited income because she's on Social Security, has some other obligations, and she's hoping for a reduction of that. If not, she is hoping to, if you can reduce it for January, and then she can continue to pay it in February, because she does need to keep the alarm because she's had a break-in.
Mr. Law Director?
Yes, sir.
If this individual would have a statement from the alarm system company stating that they were at fault, they were aware of the situation, would that make this different?
I think it might help. What I recall we have done in the past is exactly that.
Yes.
When, first of all, we never get any responses.
Yeah.
So that's great in and of itself that she's willing to say, yeah, it happened.
And this is
what
pretty rare,
happened.
this is an
We never
individual,
get
most
that.
of their business, this is an individual.
I can
that's
recall,
filed.
at least in my mind, and I hope this is accurate, but I can recall at least a couple of times where when we have had situations like this, we've worked with them.
Yeah.
Because they're coming out and they're saying, this is what happened and this is why. And, you know, as many letters as we send out, we get no response to it.
Correct.
When we are typically, you, I should say, not we, but the board is typically willing to work with those who,
On the surface, there's more than reasonable effort here. If I would ask that we follow up with her and explain, because any type of alarm company should be able to have a document of
They'll have a
what
service
technicians
record.
were out. That's fine. If she provides that.
my guess is she's
I'm-
paid a heck of a lot more than the 150 reduction and having them out 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm of the mindset that we should, because I mean, there have been some other extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
Sure.
Are not necessarily the same.
Okay, so I'll reach out to her.
Agreed.
And that's the end of communications.
It does bring us to our portion of the meeting for public speaks. If there's anybody in the crowd that wishes to address the board, we just ask you state your name and address for the fiscal officer. Anybody that wishes to address the board?
Well, I'm here. Good evening, I'm Bill Smith. I'm a Canton Township trustee, so I'm not used to being on this side of the town. And after last night with about 40 people or so in our audience, we had fun. But I've been in Canton Township trustee for 14 years. I'm also your trustee, your representative in the county at the Stark County Land Bank. Been a business owner for 40 years, Smith's Waco Market, Marion Donuts Cafe, Canton South, and I have a property management company. But I found that I had some free time and decided to run for Stark County Commissioner because I didn't have enough to do. So I will be on the ballot on the 15th. Just a real quick, the county, I think, is in good shape. I think they raided the ship here a few years ago and doing a really good job. And I want to continue that. The one thing I think that I can bring, though, is some of my business background. And as some of you that are elected will have already heard, probably,
is when you go to run for office, they'll tell you, we'll run it like a business. And you find out, okay, we'll go in there and run it like a business, and you find out something gets in your way called the Ohio Revised Code. So basically, you can put business practices to that. And that's something I've helped do down in Canton Township over the years. So I've enjoyed what I do. I really love what I do. Even last night, when you get beat up a little bit, public speaks, you know, it's okay. It all worked out. It all worked out in the end. But tonight, just watching your board operate, because if you go to different ones and you see different ideas, and I always like to learn, and I always like to take new ideas, and I like that goal setting, not only here, but even in the business end of it. And I like how you did that. And I'm going to say, I'm going to probably steal some of those ideas out of someone and take them down. I really like that. But you need to be really commended for the Veterans Memorial. We attended Saturday evening. I was over at Skyland Pines, my wife and I, and had my brother-in-law and sister-in-law there too. It was a great event. Hope it did real well. It seemed to be a good crowd. But what you're doing, it's outstanding, and you need to be commended. That's above and beyond what your job really is, what our job really is. But you know what? It makes it worthwhile too, and I think you guys know that. It makes the whole thing worthwhile. So thank you for a few minutes, and you know, I really enjoyed the meeting. Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the crowd that wishes to address the board? Okay, that'll close out public speaks. It will take us to concerns of trustees. I'm not sure if I've got one and two swapped around. The first thing I had was I got at home communication. It's a thank you. It says, thank you all for the hard work in Plain Township. Salute to veterans. The event was a success from beginning to the flag ceremony that evening. We deeply appreciate all the volunteers for their long hours in making the event so very special for our veterans. Respectfully, Donna Chica, Blue Star Mother. So guys, I mean, again, I think as we already know, as Bill referenced, it's the stuff like that that, you know, just further solidifies what we're doing here. That being said, I know Bill referenced the Rotary auction Saturday night. It was actually something I had been asked to speak at, and it was something I'd actually purchased a ticket from one of the guys at the Y about a month ago or so. And I went on behalf of the board. They gave me 5 to 7 minutes. And honestly, I just really talked about our vision, what this board's committed to, advised them, you know, we were going to be looking to list, award, and sign, you know, the bids, but, you know, how we've actively worked to engage the schools and a number of other organizations collaboratively in this, so there's ownership all the way around, and we're bridging generational gaps from the youth within the STEM Academy and trying to get this design, final design selected to, you know, truly history lessons. And I was fortunate enough to be able to read a couple of these, you know, cards. And we had the letter to the editor, you know, the gentleman moved to tears, and I gotta tell you, pretty much most that night, it was a relatively rowdy crowd. I mean, you'd have Jerry Holler up there yelling, "Zip it, get quiet," and I mean, people keep talking, and you guys know how I tend to be the disciplinarian when it comes to, you know, give your due. And I got up there, and I mean, that room was silent. It was really difficult actually reading that, because you know, talking with, you know, the 3-star major who was our guest speaker to, you know, the World War II vet, and you just hear that. I mean, it's overcoming emotionally to a degree. So let's just say the live auction, there was quite a bit of money ponied up by a number of individuals. So Rotary should probably give us some rough figures here that'll help. And I think, you know, at least from my perspective, we can start leveraging that with some of the foundations on matching fund grants and so forth to stretch those dollars further. And Chad Palmer STEM Academy did provide us 2 links for students' presentations. However, a couple of them had technical difficulties, so the only reason I haven't come back and said, hey, let's set this date for community open house, just to take a look as well outside what our veterans saw. We're pushing them. If they're not gonna be able to get it on video, I'm gonna ask them to do the types of presentations they have here, so we don't hold anything up in the work that Summit Memorials
Yeah.
Inc. is gonna be doing. But a good night, really good night. It was the second year they said that it's been sold out, whereas in years past, they've had some free tickets that, you know, they come around and say, hey, you guys want to bid on these, so they at least fill up the reverse raffle. But really moving. And then last thing I had was on access management. We met Keith Bennett, Dick Piro, myself, Bob Now from Regional Planning. There were a couple other folks just there. We presented the work that the Access Management Committee did. Obviously, with having a new commissioner down there, Mr. Bridenstine, on the interim, there's some folks who got to get their arms wrapped around this. They did not commit to what the minimum 2 dates for public hearings will be. They were to be talking through that, I believe, this weekend or next week. So, not a whole lot there, but essentially the clock has stopped on our 230 or 270 days for the committee to get done what they need. So we're in good shape, and I'll have further updates as those dates are set. Does anybody else have anything, any concerns of trustees? Okay. Concerns?
Going back to the access management, it was, Commissioner Creighton was actually on WHBC.
Yeah, I heard.
And that was,
That's right.
that was very informative.
Yeah.
She brought that out, speaking about how they're working on this, and she explained it very well, so it's out there. So now, you know, there's a lot of HBC listeners, of course, but she did present that on the radio.
Which, I mean, we had a trifold. It essentially explained what it was, how it works, who was involved in the committee, so it's probably some of really what they're working off of. I know they're gonna have, I think, the law department review it for some initial feedback, and then they have a period where they've got to get it out to certain representative groups, so they can have, I think, 30 days to provide their input. And then, again, as I've said from the very beginning, being our township representative, they can either adopt it in whole, in part, or reject the entire thing. So,
She did state that she was working with representatives in townships.
So anything else? Concerns of the fiscal officer, Mr. Flex?
Mr. President.
Okay, that'll take us to the approval of the minutes for a regular meeting of January 26, 2016, which I will so move.
I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes. I will move on to the special meeting for February 5th, 2016.
I'll second.
Discussion, just as a point of clarification, we'll have the record of the proceedings reflect that Mr. Lino was excused. The intent for that meeting was strictly for union negotiations, to which we had predetermined that Mr. Sabo and myself would handle that and bring it back to the board.
And that will be ongoing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Roll call?
Mr. Lino? No, he wasn't
I
there, so.
know.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes. Okay. So, do we have a list?
Can I handle that? I
Yes.
guess one I've got to add, if you don't mind.
Okay, I'll turn the need for executive session over to our law director, Mr. Eric Williams.
This is what I'd like to go out under this evening. We have a new one under 121.22 G8. So I'll just do the ordinary ones, and then it's gonna take me a minute to read it until we get it put in our form, okay? So tonight, I'd like you to make a motion to go out under 1B, employment of a public employee or official. 1F, compensation of a public employee or official. 4, preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees. And bear with me on this one, I'm going to read 8. It is to consider confidential information related to the marketing plan, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance, or to negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance, provided that both of the following conditions apply. A, the information is directly related to a request for economic development assistance that is to be provided or administered under any provision of Chapter 715, 725, 1724, or 1728, or Section 70107, 373567 to 373570, 5709.40 to 5709.43, 5709.61 to 5709.69, 570973 to 570975, or 570977 to 5709.81 of the revised code, or that involves public infrastructure improvements or the extension of utility services that are directly related to an economic development project. And now here's B. A unanimous quorum of the public body determines by a roll call vote that the executive session is necessary to protect the interests of the applicant or the possible investment or expenditure of public funds to be made in connection with the economic development project. It's a fancy way of saying going out to discuss deals with other political subdivisions that we want to keep out of the public for now, and that it affects the economic development project.
Makes
That
sense.
was a move.
Is that a mover? Then I'll second it.
Discussion. Roll call.
Could you just repeat the A section? Mr. Sabah?
Yes.
The middle third.
Lino?
Right.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.